Practice of a meditation requires seclusion in different ways. Seclusion of a body, seclusion of a mind, and a seclusion from all the defilements. Seclusion of the body basically means having a non-distracted place. There's less noise, less people, and less disturbances from any other businesses. And that is the reason behind in every discourses that the Buddha taught about the meditation, always referring to go to the forest or secluded place, or sunyagara. It's called aranyagato wa rukkhamulagato wa sunyakaragato wa. Means going into the forests, under the trees, and empty huts or empty houses, so that there will be physically less distractions, and we have no business with it. That's a physical seclusion. And here, although we are not sitting in the forests under the tree, but I presume we are sitting in a quiet place, in a relatively comfortable place. Less danger or no danger, and less distraction or no distractions at all. The seclusion of this body is not alone enough for the development or process and understanding the reality. We have to have a mental seclusion too. Sometimes you may be staying in a very secluded place, but your mind may be not settled. Your mind may be thinking of so many things, engaging in planning, proliferating, discussing, mental chatting going on. In a reality, generally people would like to go into the forests where there's less distractions, or not communicating with people. That's the general desire. Want to have a peace and independent isolation of individuals. But when time comes, normally people will seek for the companies, become so much haunted, and isolation becomes so much trouble. And that's because we haven't developed the mental seclusion. Whereas mental seclusion is ability to live anywhere but unattached to anything. A simile is given is like a drop of water on a lotus leaf. A drop of water sustained on the lotus leaf, untouched. It moves along the wind in its own shape, but never separated, raising above the conditions. An ability to remain calm and collected in every situation. Doesn't matter how difficult that situation may be. Doesn't matter how terrible that incident may be. Able to remain calm and collected. I used to go and sit in the middle of the market and watch myself and watch the people walking around. Oftentimes, I feel no connection with these people. No one is talking, no one is caring. You're sitting simply there. And with this, when your mind is not calm, when your mind is not collected, by looking at those people walking by, looking at their appearance, looking at their fashions, looking at the way they're walking, the way they're talking, eating, we go on into chatting box. Storytelling begins, although we do not know that person at all. Mind is not secluded. Meanwhile, if you become a mindful and you're able to keep yourself calm and collected in that such a busy marketplace, and you become suddenly alone and are watching every little details of it. People are walking past, but you do not have any connection with it. It's just like a fast moving movies and you're just sitting there quietly, collectively. No business to do with anybody. And that is the mental seclusion. You're living with hundreds of people, but you are living alone. Yet you are sharply aware of everything what's going on. You are fully alert. You're so calm and collected in that midst of such a crowd. And that is a sort of a mental seclusion that we have to develop. And obviously, the last seclusion, which is the seclusion from the defilements, is the highest. It's called Bodily. All the kilesas. Seclusion from all those kilesas. Far away from them. If we have known that these are the results that prevent from having a seclusion of a mind and a body, then we should learn to leave aside, avoid, recognize, and letting it be. Ability to abandon it, probably for temporarily or for a little longer, but it may come back, or for completely. Abandoning from our minds and our heart. And that is the true seclusion. There was a one time that the Buddha was talking to one of the disciples, said that you may be going into the woods, going into the seclusion, no distraction, far away from the countrymen, far away from village, but you are not alone. And he replies, what do you mean by that? I will go and stay alone. I'm not going with anybody else. Then the Buddha replied, although you're physically going to be secluded in a very deep, dense forest, but your mind is full of desire. When you have that desire, you are not alone. So we have to be desire-free so that we can live secluded life in everywhere, calm and collected of the mind. Similar story happened to the Buddha himself. Before the Ananda became his attendants, there was a one monk called Radha. He was attendant of the Buddha. And it happened that on the journey this Radha saw a beautiful woodlands. And having seen that such a beautiful woodland and quiet and conducive for the practice, he asked permission from the Buddha. But Buddha said, it is not the proper time. This Radha constantly requesting for 3 times, and the Buddha rejected, saying that it is not a proper time. And yet he disobeyed. He put the Buddha's robe and the Buddha's bowl on a rock and walked away. And the story says he wasn't able to meditate. He was haunted by all those desires, sensual pleasures and sensual lusts from the past. His mind was restless. His mind was so much chatting, and all those sensual lusts and desires were popping again and again. And he felt the compassion of the Buddha, that the Buddha said, it is not a proper time. He recollected those words and returned back to pay respect and ask for forgiveness from the Buddha. And Buddha said, I knew that you're going to have those, so that's why I said it is not a proper time yet. So that's why we may want to be secluded. We may want to be physical seclusion, but if we haven't got the mental seclusion, we haven't abandoned the desires, we haven't attained the mental seclusion. If we haven't attained the mental seclusion, unlikely we can free the defilements. So in the practice, although we may not be expecting to be enlightened or having a complete seclusion of the mind, and seclusion from the defilements, at least we can train ourselves, making a habit so that it's become a character that will continue with us in this life and a life after. And eventually we can gain seclusion from all these 3 factors, aspects, and gain the liberation. So as we are here practicing, making sure you have a seclusion of these three. In the meanwhile, whatever arises, whatever you're experiencing now, making sure that are you engaging with your desires? Are you trying to manipulate? Are you trying to make things as you wish? Or are you having a thought of trying to attain this or trying to attain that, and you are trying to conceptualize it? Mindfully observing that. And a seclusion is something that is non-reactive attention, but alert and awake and still in the moment. Pachupannadam, here and now. We don't need any doctrinal explanation to experience this present moment. You can experience it here. The body sitting here is a secluded body, free from the distractions. Mind is always watching, having nothing to do with these, just observing and feeling free from it. And that's automatically abandoning the greed, hatred, and delusion. And this, you don't have to believe me. You can experience it here. You can realize here. And this realization is simply because your own experience, you are here experiencing it without having any judgment on it, without craving anything, but as they are, knowing as it is. Sitting, watching, sitting, knowing. Knowing as it is. Try not to make a concept of it. Try not to make this or that, but observing it as it is. So in this way, keeping in the mind, continue practicing until you hear the gong.